Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start our Tuesday class with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhavaswa, Tatsavitra Varene, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodaya. Asto ma satyamya tamso ma jyotirgamya mrityurma amritam gamya. Om sehna bhavtu sehna bhunaktu seviryam karvave tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahi. Om shanti shanti shanti. Let's open our books of Uddhava Gita. We are on chapter 5, verse number 33 and page number 176. Gyatvaha gyatvatth ye ve mam yavan yascha asmi yadrisha bhajante ananye bhavena te me bhaktya mata. My devotees may or may not understand me in truth. How I am situated beyond the cosmic manifestation, but if they possess unalloyed devotion for me, I consider them to be great personalities. Devotion, love for God, that takes us far. In this verse, the word Yavan is used to indicate that Lord Krishna is unlimited, beyond the jurisdiction of material existence. Still, he is captivated by the love of his pure devotees. It is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavan because of the love of the cowherd men and women. The word Ya is used to indicate that the absolute truth appears as the son of Vasudeva. Yadricha indicates that the Lord is completely self-satisfied. And Aptakama means one who has nothing to gain from anyone else. Still being captivated by the love of his devotees, the Lord sometimes appears to be dependent on them, needing them to fulfill his desires. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always independent, but he reciprocates the love of his devotees and thus seems to be dependent upon them. For example, Lord Krishna appeared to be completely dependent upon Nand Maharaj and Mother Yashoda as a child in Vrindavan. The word Agyantva means ignorant, and it indicates that sometimes a devotee may seem to be philosophically naive and bereft of a proper understanding of the Lord. Although a materialist or impersonalist may appear to be very highly qualified, without Krishna consciousness, such a person will never attain the success of life. One must understand the personal feature of the absolute truth and surrender unto him. Even if one is not very intelligent, if he simply accepts that he is the eternal servant of the Lord, he will certainly attain perfection. The residents of Vrindavan had no idea or didn't understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They simply loved Krishna as their most beloved, and it is for this reason that they are considered perfect. So love has that kind of a power. Okay. So now, next few verses, they go together, 34 to 40, 41. So let's read them together first, and then read the message which we get from them. Malla lingaha madbhakti janaha darshan saparshna archanam paricharyam stuti pram gunkaram anukirtanam mat katha shravane shraddha mad anudhyanam uddhav sarv labho harnam dasen atam nivedanam majjanam karam kathanam mam parva anumodanam gitaha and Vaadir Goshtihi Madgrih Utsavaha Yatra Bali Vidhanam Ch Sarv Varshik Parvasu Vediki Tantriki Diksham Diye Vratadharma Mamarchaha Sthapne Shraddha Savata Sahatya Chodhya Udhanoh Pavna Kridpur Mandir Karmani Sammarjnopalepavyam Sek Mandal Vartane Grihi Shushurshnam Mayam Dasyam Vadhyayad Amaya Amanitvam Dambhitvam Kritasya Parikirtanam Api Deepaha Lokam Menopayujana Niveditam Yad Yad Ishtitam Loke Yachati Priyam Atmanaha Tat Tan Nivedyena Mayam Tad Anyam Kalpate. My dear Uddhava, one will be able to give up false pride by cultivating these limbs of devotional service. One should purify himself by seeing, touching, worshipping, serving, and offering prayers of glorification and obeisance to my form as the deity, as well as to my pure devotees. One should hear my glories in the association of devotees and meditate upon me. One should offer whatever he happens to possess to me, considering himself to be my eternal servant. In this way, one should surrender unto me. One should make arrangements for the celebration of festivals in relation to me. These festivals should be celebrated in the temple with singing and dancing in ecstasy. One should, in the association of devotees, visit the holy places of pilgrimage that are related to me and observe the vows meant for devotees, such as Ekadashi. One should receive initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, and if able to do so, give donations for the constructions of my temples. Most importantly, one should always consider himself to be my humble servant and thus engage for my satisfaction without duplicity. As a menial servant, one should sweep the floor of the temple and then cleanse it with water and cow dung. When the floor is dry, one should sprinkle scented water over it and then draw auspicious mandalas. A devotee should not become proud, advertising himself as an exalted soul. If one offers to me that which is most dear to him, that will please me greatly and thus advance him on the path toward eternal life. So this is the translation of those verses which we just read before. So now the commentary. The Supreme Lord said, O Uddhava, you had asked me to describe what kind of devotional service is pleasing to me. Here is the answer. You should offer respect and worship to my deity form and to my devotees. You should offer all your possessions for my service, thinking that everything I have has been given to me by the Lord for use in his service. With this attitude, one should offer to the deity whatever he has at his disposal. One should surrender one's body and very self at the lotus feet of the Lord. One should glorify the Lord's transcendental birth and activities, sing his glories in the association of devotees. One should observe my festivals, such as Janmashtami, with singing, dancing, and the playing of musical instruments. One should arrange for very opulent worship of the Lord by offering new clothes, ornaments, sweets, flower garlands, sandalwood paste, and so on during festivals such as Holi. One should observe religious vows like Ekadashi, worship the deity, and one should arrange flower gardens, individually or collectively for my service. One should arrange a place for enacting the pastimes of the Lord. One should sweep the temple of the Lord and then smear with cow dung mixed with water. Thereafter, when the temple room is dry, one should sprinkle scented water and then decorate the floor with auspicious drawings. In this way, one should engage in my temple as a menial servant. Just as a servant of the king works for his satisfaction, one should engage in my service, giving up all sense of miserliness. One should give up the desire for personal aggrandizement. One should not use a ghee lamp that has been offered to me for his own use, such as to illuminate his own room. One should only partake of that food which was first offered to me. As dictated by etiquette, one should distribute the remnants of my food to the Vaishnavas and then honor the prasad oneself. It is stated in the Shastra that the merit one obtains by fasting for 6 months can be attained in Kali Yuga simply by partaking of one morsel of Lord Vishnu's remnants. One should meditate upon my form within his heart, chant my holy names, accept the remnants of my food, drink the water that has washed my feet, touch the remnants of my flowers to one's head. One who follows all these principles is to be considered as the same platform as the infallible Lord Vishnu. One should offer to me the thing that is most dear to him in this world. However, although wine is very dear to Lord Baldev, it should never be offered to the deity because there is no mention of such a practice in the Shastra. Among all these practices, the most effective is the offering of one's most dear thing for the service of the Lord. Pure devotees never consider the things of this world to be meant for their personal enjoyment. Without connection to Krishna consciousness, pure devotees consider themselves the eternal servants of the Lord and never make false claims of being themselves the Lord. Knowing the pure devotees to be the Lord's representative, sent into this world by his mercy, fortunate people touch his feet, have his darshan, worship him, serve him, glorify him, offer obeisance to him, and appreciate his transcendental qualities. One should not consider the deity, the Lord in the heart, and the pure devotees of the Lord to be separate from one another. One should know that the absolute truth is one. While manifesting in infinite varieties, one should faithfully hear about Supreme Personality of Godhead from the spiritual master, while fully surrendering unto the Lord, offering all of one's possessions to him in his service. Indeed, one should consider his very self as being meant for the pleasure of the Lord and for no other purpose. The word Varsh refers to a period of time as well as a tract of land. Yatra refers to the performance of religious celebrations current at various places and at various times. The performance of worship is called Balvidhan. There are two kinds of initiation, Vedic initiation and initiation conducted in pursuance of the Vedic literature. The word Diksha indicates that one should be very eager to cultivate Krishna consciousness. The word Harivashar refers to the appearance day of the Lord, which should be nicely celebrated by all Vaishnavas. The firm determination to engage in the Lord's service is indicated by the word Vratdharna. Impersonalists do not accept the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should give up the association of such persons and work, either individually or collectively, to make flower gardens and fruit orchards for the service of the deity, ashrams for the residence of devotees, and the temples so that the people in general can take part in the worship of Lord. Giving up all false pride, one should sweep the floor of the Lord's temple, smear it with cow dung, sprinkle it with the scented water, and then draw auspicious symbols, engaging just like a menial servant. One should never make such endeavors simply to enhance his prestige. One should never consider himself to be a great devotee, and one should never brag about his devotional activities. One should not employ a lamp that was offered to the Lord for serving his own purpose, such as inebriating his residence. One should never offer to the Lord something that was given to someone else or used by him. Being impelled by material desires, one should not utilize what is dear to him for his personal sense gratification. Rather, he should offer his favorite things for the service of the Supreme Lord. By doing so, one will attain eternal benefit. One should not become bewildered by thoughts of material enjoyment, thus forget the service of the Supreme Lord. All of one's wealth and family members should be engaged for the Lord's satisfaction, and this will save one from increasing his material bondage. Okay? So, what the message is that everything has been given to us by God, and if we want to increase our love for God, use all that for Him. Because ultimately it's His and not ours. So that's how we detach from this worldly material things. Okay? It's here, given to us, take it as a prasad, but always think that it's His, not ours. We don't own it. We don't own anything. Verse number 42. Surya Agni Brahmana Gavo Vaishnava Kam Majjalam Bhur Atma Sarvabhutani Bhadra Puja Padani Me. O gentle one, you may worship me in the sun, fire, Brahmins, cows, Vaishnavas, sky, wind, water, earth, individual soul, and all living entities. So he says, I'm everywhere. Everywhere. Uddhava had asked, where should I worship you? The Lord herein replies, there are 11 places where you can worship me, such as the sun, fire, and so on. And then there's a group of verses 43 to 45. Surye tu vidyaha treyah vish agnahu yajet mam atishe tu viprahagre goshav ang yavam sadhin Vaishnav bandhu satkrityaha hridi ke dhyan nishtaya vayo mukhe diyato ye dravyah toye purasare Sathadile mantra hrider bhoger atmanam atmane kshetra gyam sarvabhuteshu samtven yajet mam. My dear Uddhava, one should worship me within the sun by chanting the Purush Shukta mantras. These are the mantras from the Vedas, Purush Shukta. By performing worship and offering obeisance. One should worship me within fire with oblations of ghee, and one should worship the Brahmins as representing me by respectfully honoring them as guests. One should worship me within the cows by offering them grass and grains. One should worship the Vaishnavas as being non-different from me by showing them love and respect. I should be worshipped within the heart by meditation. And I should be worshipped within the air by the practice of pranayama. I should be worshipped within water by offering of water and other paraphernalia. And I should be worshipped within the earth by the chanting of mantras. One should worship me within all living entities by seeing the super soul present within everyone, thus seeing with equal vision. How should I adore my worshipper Lord in all these manifestations? The answer is given in these three verses. It is not possible to understand the transcendental Lord simply by accumulating knowledge with the help of materially conditioned senses. Considering this, one should not think of the sun, fire, the Brahmins, cows, Vaishnavas, the sky, air, water, the earth, and the individual spirit souls as devoid of any relation with the absolute truth. and thus to be avoided. Rather, one should accept all these entities as being favorable for the execution of one's devotional service. As soon as one sees anything as separate from the Lord's service, one will certainly neglect it. These entities should be accepted as worshipable because of their relationship with the Lord. The things mentioned in these verses are to be worshipped in various manners. By the hymns of Rig, Psalm, and Yajurveda, one should worship the sun. By offering ghee into the sacred fire, Agni is worshipped. By receiving them as honored guests, the Brahmins are worshipped. By feeding them nice grass, the cows are worshipped. By following his orders and thinking of him as an instructor and an eternal friend, the Vaishnav is worshipped. By constant meditation, the Lord within the heart is worshipped. The air is worshipped by considering the life air to be the most important element. Water is worshipped by offerings of water and flowers. The earth is worshipped by performing the Neyas mantras. The super soul is worshipped by offering him one's dearest possessions. And all living entities are worshipped by treating them with equal vision. Verse number 46. Dhishinehe iti eshu madrupam shankh chakra gadam kunjay yuktam chatur bhujam shantam dhyanam achkat samahita. In this way, you should worship me, my transcendental four-armed form, holding a conch, disc, club, and lotus, with fixed attention. With a controlled mind, one should worship the Supreme Lord as being present in these entities. This worship is actually the worship of Lord Narayan. Although it appears to be the worship of many separate entities, the worshippers of Shri Ramchandra should also meditate on their worshipable Lord and offer worship as prescribed therein. So in Hinduism, we have many, many forms. So that's why he just mentioned the Ramchandra also. Or any form, God is everywhere. By worshipping all the as if they were independent entities, one will be considered a pantheist or one who worships many gods. One should meditate on the form of Lord Narayan, who holds a conch, disc, club, and lotus in his hands, as being situated within all these entities. In this way, the worship of all these entities will be in relation to Lord Hari. Verse number 47. Ishtaha purten mam evam yo yajet samahita labte mei sad bhaktim mat samriti sadhu sevya. One who worships me in full concentration by performing sacrifices and activities meant for the welfare of others attains unflinching devotional service unto me. By rendering service to saintly persons, he achieves realized knowledge of me. So he's basically telling us how to increase the love for God by serving, okay, and try to see God everywhere. An advanced devotee performs his service meticulously because it is his very life and soul. His austerities are never artificial because he keeps his body healthy so that he can properly execute his service to his spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. Because if you don't keep our body healthy, mind calm, instead of us serving others, others will have to serve us. The congregational chanting of the holy names of Lord and the worship of the spiritual master are the best means for rising the platform of pure devotional service. It is far better to chant the holy name of the Lord in the association of sincere devotees than to simply practice some form of dry renunciation or fruitive sacrifices. Fruitive sacrifice means doing something thinking that I'm going to get a fruit of it. This is the process recommended for this age, and those who are actually intelligent will perform Krishna Sankirtan with great enthusiasm. So, like in the group of company, reciting the name of God. Number 48. Prayen bhakti yogena sat sangen vinodhav no payo vidyate samyak prayanam hi satam aham. O Uddhava, I am the supreme shelter and goal of life of the devotees. If one does not engage in my devotional service, which is received by the association of my pure devotees, there will be no means for his escaping material existence. The paths of Gyan and Bhakti have both been described, but here it is said that deliverance from material existence is possible only by devotional service, which is to be performed in the association of devotees. Pure devotional service to the Lord is called Keval Bhakti, whereas devotional service mixed with speculative propensities is called Gun Bhut Bhakti, or devotional service polluted by the material modes of nature. So that means you are doing the bhakti to gain something in this material world. So that is a Gun Bhut Bhakti. Actually, as stated in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, pure devotional service automatically awards one knowledge and detachment. On the other hand, without devotional service, the cultivation of knowledge cannot award one perfection. Processes for spiritual perfection, other than devotional service, are described as being like the nipples on a goat's neck. One can never hope to get milk from such useless nipples, and one cannot achieve perfection for any process other than devotional service. My dear Lord, for one who is being cruelly burned in the blazing fire of material miseries, having fallen into the network of material existence, I do not see any other possible shelter besides your two lotus feet, which are a shower of nectar extinguishing the fire of service. For a person who is suffering in the fire of countless miseries and who desires to cross the insurmountable ocean of material existence, there is no suitable boat except that of cultivating devotion to the transcendental taste for the narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastime. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. Be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of masters, severe austerity, the acceptance of sannyas, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, all these processes are useless. So that means all these processes are the means, not the end. End is to cultivate the love for God and God only. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is the ultimate goal and shelter of saintly persons. Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation are not the ultimate goals of life. Although these are desired by the conditioned souls, they are full of inauspiciousness. By constantly engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord in the association of devotees, one certainly achieves the ultimate goal of life. Just one more verse of this chapter. Pathetat paramam guhyam shinvato yadunandan sugopyam api vakshyami tvam me bhrityaha suhrid sakha. O Uddhava, O beloved descendant of the Yadu dynasty, because you are my servant, well-wisher and friend, I shall now reveal to you the most confidential knowledge. Please hear these confidential topics from me. So he's talking about the next chapter, beyond renunciation and knowledge. So commentary on this verse is the sages headed by Shanak have said in the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Guruhya sanigdhya shishyaha guruvo guham apiyuta. That a bona fide spiritual master will impart transcendental knowledge unto the heart of a sincere disciple. Uddhav had surrendered to Lord Krishna, and in reciprocation, the Lord imparted to him transcendental understanding. It is a fact that only unto one who has absolute faith in the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master is the mystery of spiritual understanding revealed. Other processes of elevation are incapable of delivering the desired results because it is only by devotional service that the Lord becomes actually pleased. Simply by accepting the association of pure devotees and working under the direction of the spiritual master, one attains all perfection of life. This is the essential understanding gained by study of this chapter. So we want to keep on increasing our love for God and keep serving Him. Seva. Seva and Shraddha and surrender. Okay, if you want to understand this and move towards this height. So chapter 6, let's just read a little bit of the summary of it. So in this chapter, the glories of Sadhu Sangha and the super excellence of the Vrajvasis' ecstatic love for Krishna are described. The association of saintly devotees can destroy one's attachment to material life and can even bring the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna under one's control. Neither mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, following religious principles, studying the Vedas, performing austerities, cultivating dry renunciation, performing welfare activities, giving charity, observing vows such as fasting, worshipping the demigods, chanting secret mantras, nor visiting holy places of pilgrimage can give one the same result. In every age, there are demons, animals, birds, and other lower classes of beings who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, as well as human beings such as Vaishyas, Shudras, women, and outcasts who cannot study the Vedas. Nevertheless, by the association of saintly devotees, they can attain the supreme abode of the Lord. On the other hand, without such association, even those who very seriously endeavor for perfection in mystic yoga, the cultivation of knowledge, giving charity, observing vows, practicing renunciation are generally incapable of attaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The young damsels of Vraj, ignorant of the true identity of Shri Krishna, considered him to be their paramour. Simply by the influence of Lord Krishna's association, they attained the supreme absolute truth, which is rarely attained by even demigods like Lord Brahma. These gopis of Vraj were so deeply attached to Krishna that they considered an entire night in his association to be just a moment. When Akrur took Krishna and Baldev to Mathura, the gopis considered a night in separation from Krishna to be as long as a kalapa. The gopis who were afflicted by separation from Krishna could not imagine anything pleasant other than Krishna's association. Therefore, the gopis' love for Krishna is certainly incomparable. After imparting these instructions to Uddhava, Lord Krishna concluded by saying that he should give up the considerations of religion and irreligion as described in the Shrutis and Samritis and instead take shelter of the example of the women of Vrindavan. So it's like a bhakti and only bhakti, the love for God. The first two verses of this chapter, they go together. Na rodhyati mam yogo, na sankyam dharma evacha, na swadhyaya tapas tyago, neshtaha purtam na dakshina. Vratane yagyasha chandasi tirthane niyama yama, yatha varandhe satsanga, sarava sang paho himama. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Uddhava, the association of my pure devotees can destroy all one's material attachment. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotees. One may perform yoga, engage in an analytical study of the material nature, practice non-violence, follow religious principles, study the Vedas, perform austerities, cultivate renunciation, perform fire sacrifices, undertake welfare activities, give charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant secret mantras, and control the mind. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. This chapter describes the glories of the association of devotees and the Vrajvasi's incomparable love for Krishna. The Supreme Lord said, O Uddhava, the Ashtanga Yoga system of practicing sitting postures and controlling the mind, the Sankhya Yoga system of discriminating between matter and spirit, the practice of non-violence, the study of the Vedas, the performance of severe austerities, the practice of renunciation, the performance of welfare activities like digging wells, the pious acts of giving charity, the observance of vows such as Chaturmasya, the performance of sacrifices, the worship of the demigods, the chanting of Vedic mantras cannot control me. The word rodhyati in this verse is a singular, indicating that it should be applied separately to each of the processes described. It could also be the plural rodhyanti because of the other plural word in this verse. Pratani, the word rudh means to control. The Lord therefore says activities like yoga cannot control me. I'm not controlled by Ashtanga yogis. They cannot attain my shelter. This is purport of this verse. The Supreme Lord said, or Uddhava, the study of Sankhya and the following of religious principles also cannot control me. Study of the Vedas, performance of austerities, and a life of renunciation do not enable one to attain my shelter. The powerful process of devotional service is the only method of controlling me and pleasing me. It is an established fact that I am attained only by devotional service and by no other means. One who simply associates with my pure devotees pleases me. And so what can be said of one who renders devotional service to me in the association of the devotees? One advances on the path of devotional service in the association of devotees. Although activities like practicing yoga contain some degree of devotion, I'm not controlled by the mixed devotion of such practitioners. Thus, the word yatha has been used in this verse, indicating that only when activities are performed in pure devotion are they fully pleasing to the Lord. Because the association of devotees destroys all of one's material attachment, it enables one to bring me under control. The relationships we establish in this temporary material world are not eternal, nor are they actually beneficial. The association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is attained by the association of his associates. The various methods for attaining perfection in life, such as the aesthetic Sankhya philosophy system, the theistic Sankhya philosophical system, the performance of major and minor religious duties, the study of the Vedas, the performance of penances, cultivating a life of renunciation, engaging in welfare activities, giving charity, performing sacrifices, chanting Vedic mantras, taking bath in holy places, and controlling the mind and senses are not as effective in pleasing the Lord as the association of his pure devotees. The Supreme Lord is unconquerable, but he is controlled by the love of his pure devotees. All methods for achieving the ultimate goal of life that are followed by non devotees cannot purchase the favor of the Supreme Lord. Okay? So, all those activities, we got to see, are they taking us towards loving God more or not? Okay? Because goal is that. Rest are just the means. Goal is that we want to love God and only God by doing all that. But if we just fall short of that, doing other things and get attached to them or their fruits, then we are not moving towards our goal. Goal is becoming one with God. And becoming one with God is only when we love God and only God. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.